Okay, I'm going to demonstrate here how you can change the oil filter on a Fiat 500 without removing all of the air intake box here, which is a total pain. So the only thing I've already removed is the engine cover, which is really just a sound cover, and that just pulls straight off the top of the motor here. So the first thing you're going to want to do is actually remove, there's a small Christmas tree with retaining band strap here. I've accidentally broken mine because I'm in Wisconsin and it's very cold right now. But I'm just going to move this. If you don't break it, you can remove it from the backside, flip it around, and place the wire behind. That's going to give you a little bit more room here, which you're going to want. You can do this without removing that, but it's a little bit easier. I'm just going to go ahead and take a tie strap now and re-secure this wire here. Okay, I've retied this up now. So now we're going to go ahead and drain the oil. You want to open this up to vent. Now normally I like to siphon pump all the oil out the dipstick tube, or if there's an accessory tube on some cars like Mercedes. This works really well, but unfortunately the Fiat doesn't take to siphon pumping very well. It leaves a lot of oil down in the pan. So this car has been fitted with a Fumoto stock cock valve, and that I would highly recommend because you can change the oil simply by jacking the car up, reaching under, fitting a tube, as is shown right here. You can just press that right on to the end of the oil pan. There's going to just be a little hose nipple that's provided by the Fumoto valve, and then you just go ahead and turn the valve to the side and it'll drain your oil for you. So we're going to wait till most of the oil is drained, and then we're going to go ahead and pull the filter. Now some tools are going to be required to change the filter. You're going to want a 1 foot long 1/2 inch extension. You're going to want a 1/2 inch universal, a 1/2 inch ratchet, and if you can have a ratchet with pretty small tooth spacing so that you don't have to move it very far, that's even more convenient, but any ratchet will do. And you're going to need a 1 1/16 inch socket. This is to actually remove the top cover for the cartridge filter. You're going to want to assemble the wrench in this configuration where the ratchet goes directly into the extension, then the universal, and then the socket. Okay, now we're going to actually remove the filter. If you look down in the motor here, we have an air conditioner line, and below it is the actual top of the cartridge filter. So you should be able to reach down and grab it unless you have really big arms, but I'm going to demonstrate here. I can reach in and I can actually grasp the top of the cartridge filter. Now of course I won't be able to turn it off by hand, so that's where I need this wrench. So once I take this, I can go ahead and place this down and now I'm on top of the cartridge filter and properly seated. This extension is going to give me just enough room to clear the front brace on the car. And what I would suggest is that you actually apply pressure up against the front brace to keep everything nice and triangulated. You can see how it stops here. I'm going to go ahead and twist and start to loosen the cartridge filter. Now it's going to be almost impossible not to drop a little bit of oil on the ground, so if you are really concerned about that, you should go ahead and put down a drop cloth. Now when I go to actually take this off, I'm going to want to push down because I want to make sure that the socket stays seated on this relatively fragile plastic cap. Okay, so I'm going to push down with my left hand and I'm going to turn with my right hand. Now I'm holding the camera, so I'm going to go ahead and do that without videotaping it, but basically I'm going to keep this hand here. I'm going to put my other hand out on the end of the wrench, and I'm going to make sure that this extension stays vertical. Okay, so I just broke that free. So now I can turn it pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead and just turn it. Okay, now that's nice and loose. I'm going to go ahead and pull the wrench out. I'm done with it for now. I'm going to go ahead and reach in here and finish opening it by hand. Just going to put my fingers on the top of the nut that's molded in. until I can feel that I can lift it out. Now don't take it out quite yet. You're going to want to leave it in there. And letting the air in is going to allow the oil to drain off of the actual filter. So now it's completely loose, and if I wanted to, I could lift it out of the hole, but I'm not going to do that. Okay, now I'm going to actually take the filter out. So it's not going to all fit through this small hole if the filter is still in the top cover retainer. So I'm actually going to go ahead and separate the filter with my fingers before I take the cover out. Now, that's going to get your hand really messy, so I've gone ahead and fitted my left hand with a nitrile glove. I'm going to reach in there, grab around the top, and with my index and middle finger and my thumb, I'm going to grab the filter itself and just pull it down. You only have to pull it down about 1/4 inch because there's a little click, and you'll see that when you actually remove the entire cartridge, or if you've done this before, you know exactly how it fits together. So I'm going to go ahead and pull the filter off. Then I'm going to just rotate and pull the cover right out, and it's actually going to fit around the air conditioner hose and through this gap right here. And the filter's still going to be down in the housing, and then you can easily just reach in and pull the filter out after that. So first, let's reach down and separate it. Okay, so that click you just heard is the filter separating. Now I have the top piece in my hand here. Most of the oil is going to be out of that now because I've left it sit a while. So I'm going to quickly flip it over. See, my fingers are now inside, and it's upside down right here. Okay, so I've flipped the cover for the filter over and left it just sitting down here so you can see how to do this. What you're going to end up doing is you're going to end up grabbing that cover, rotating it so that the open side is facing the washer fluid neck. Then you're going to slide it up and actually basically put the top of the washer fluid neck into the clearance for the filter and pivot the filter right up and over and pop it right out. Okay? So I'm going to attempt to do that one-handed while holding my phone camera here. Okay, so I've got it right up here. Now you've got this out. Okay, so all I did was pull it basically straight up this way, up in the bay. I flipped it over that cover, and then it popped right out this hole. So now I have this in my hand. Now the next step is to liberate the filter itself, which as you can see right now is just sitting right in the housing. So all you have to do is reach down and grab that filter and put it someplace where it's not going to cause a mess. I've gone ahead and set the cap for it right here, so I'm going to pick it up and put it right back in that cap. And there is the filter. So now we're just going to change it, which is pretty much the exact reverse of what we did. Okay, I've got my brand new Mopar oil filter and O-ring here. I've tossed the old one in the old Mopar box. I have to take the old O-ring off of the cover right here. I'm just going to use a flathead screwdriver, pop it right off. Then you want to put a little bit of oil, fresh oil, on this new O-ring and slide it down into the same position. Okay, so now we are ready to reinstall, put the new filter in. So normally you just take the filter and the side that has the little clips, you would go ahead and just put down and pop it in just like that. It would be retained. But in this case, before we had this upside down and we gripped it like this and we pulled it out. And that's how we got this whole part out of the car in the first place. So we're going to have to kind of put it in the same way. So I'm going to need to put this down in the housing, and I'm going to put it in with these tabs up so that I can click it in place. So I'm just going to thread it in here, reach down with my arm, and I have now placed it right where it needs to be down there. So now that's sitting in the filter housing. So now we're actually going to need to put the filter back in. Or sorry, the cover for the filter back in. So again, to put that back in, we're just going to place that right here on the filler neck, rotate it into place. It pops right down into the engine bay. Flip it over, put it right on top of the filter. Now unfortunately I can't film this, but what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull this whole assembly out, put my index and middle finger down over the edge of the filter, pull it up, you can hear it click. Now it's just like it was when it was in my hand outside the car. Now I can just start to thread this right into place. And do that till it gets too hard for me to turn by hand, which is about now. It's already where I want it to be. And now that's ready for me to take the wrench and put it right back in. Now, if you have a torque wrench, you're going to want to follow the torque spec that is on the top of the cap. Now that's about 25 Newton meter, which is roughly 20 foot-pounds. Okay, so I have placed my extended wrench with the socket right on top of that filter, turning it in. Normally I do this with two hands and it would go very easily. And even with one hand it's not so hard. Okay, now I'm just stopped, so that means I'm up against the seat. I'm going to use both hands now just to finalize this. And again, not a lot of force because you only want 25 Newton meter. Okay, so that is it. I've got a rag here with just a little bit of cleaner on it. Just going to wipe off the little bit of oil that I dripped in here during my change, and that's it. Alright, the whole oil change is done now. I didn't show the rest of it because there are plenty of other places you can see how to change the oil on one of these cars. But I have gone ahead and put the factory fill of 4 quarts back in it. Check the dipstick. We're right at the top, which will be good because when I start it up and that filter gets refilled with oil, it'll drop down a little bit, and we'll be about 3/4 on the dipstick hash mark, which is right where I want it. So that is it. I do apologize for how filthy the car is, but it's Wisconsin and it's February, so this is the best I can do. See you guys later.